On Windows, macOS and Linux, you can create extremely weird files that behave in a very bizarre way, or even worse, they break your system and make it unbootable. On Windows, there are file names that are reserved and that you cannot create normally. For example, if you were to create a file and try to name it con, you're gonna get an error, the specified device name is invalid. Also, another one was null. And there are just multiple of those. But would you believe me if I told you that yes, we can create these files and that they would not behave very well on the system? What I can do is open up terminal, run it as administrator, and then we can just go ahead and echo hello into a new file. And in order to shut up OneDrive, we have to use a specific syntax. Let's call this one null. And now let's press enter. And also, since we did that one, let's also do con. And something really strange happens once we create both of these files. Both of them are the size of 1 kilobyte. If I grab this con file and try to move it to the desktop, okay, it's gonna say we need administrator permission to move this file. Continue. Okay, this one we can move. I was expecting something else, but then watch this null file. Let me move it, and we can see that it says an unexpected error is keeping you from moving the file. We can try again, and that doesn't work. The specified device name is invalid. This one we cannot move out of this directory. Can I even delete it? Continue. Invalid MS-DOS function. No, we cannot even delete it. We cannot move this file, and we cannot delete this file. And what about this one? Delete. Okay, this one, it seems like we can do stuff with it. And empty recycle bin, I can delete this one successfully. But with con, if you were to try to create it normally, it of course doesn't allow us to do that. This is the problematic one. I'm not even sure how would you even delete it at this point. I don't think I can even rename it. Or can I? The file null is too large for the destination file system. Can I share it maybe to a friend? So I cannot move it, I cannot get rid of it, but what I can do, I can compress it. Compress to, I think, zip files don't work, or do they? Oh, it does work, yeah. But let's see what happens when we decompress it. And what if I now copy this file onto the desktop? The specified device name is invalid, it doesn't work. Extract all. Windows cannot complete the extraction. Wait. Oh yeah, now it works. And now I have extracted a folder called null. I don't know why it's a folder when this one is a file. I can't even open it. Incorrect function. Okay. And it also gets kind of frustrating with both of these folders. I can delete that one, but I cannot delete this one. I wonder if this weird of a file can be created on macOS and Linux as well. But more on that later. If we head over to the C drive, Windows, System32 and the config folder, this is where registry hives are stored. These are critical system components that Windows needs in order to boot and function properly. However, there is one registry hive that is by default unused on Windows systems, but it is reserved. It is called OS data, and let's just see what happens when I create a file that is named just like this registry hive. And in order to Windows even look at this file, this one needs to have some kind of text, and I think it might need to be longer actually, more characters. And now it's 128 kilobytes, very similar to the other files, so I think it might be fine. Now that we have this file, we can go ahead and restart our Windows PC. So Windows is booting up right now. Your device ran into a problem and needs to restart. It's not gonna start back up again. Bad system config info. Preparing automatic repair. And I guess at this point what you would have to do is try to delete the file from the recovery environment or in some other way. And while the file names on Windows were pretty weird and even deadly, on macOS it's a completely different game. What many people didn't know is that you can actually create a file that has no text in it. You can just enter a space and now it's just a blank folder. It looks really freaking cool actually. Apart from just the blank space character, what we can also do is create a file that has the new line character. And there it is. Except for some reason there's a question mark when we tried to use the new line character for the file name. So I guess macOS got confused from this one. Then what we can do is use a tab character for the file name. Let's see. Yeah, this one is also empty. We can see that this character is a space and this one is a whole tab because it takes so much more space. And what if I were to do it like this? I can also use the keyboard for that. But it only gets even weirder from here. And this one is quite a dangerous file to make on your Mac macOS. We can name a file with this symbol. What was it called? I don't remember. But on the command line interface, if you use this specific symbol, it signifies that you want to perform an action on everything in that directory. Let's open up our home directory and we can see that we have this file right here. When you want to delete this file and you use the terminal, you would have to type remove with this symbol. So let's press enter. And now this is the problem, is that now macOS is gonna think that you want to delete everything in that directory. Sure, you want to delete all 14 files in user's datastream. Yes, no. Yes. Okay, so it does seem like it removed only the file and not the directories. macOS is kind of smart. And then finally we can create a file which has a very long file name. Okay, this is the correct command. I think it's like 255 characters. And it gets even weirder when you use the contextual menu on this one. Just look at how long it is. This is how it's normally supposed to be like, and this is how it looks like on this one. And with this file, a file that has such a long file name, there comes a bunch of problems as well. For example, if we try to compress it, it's not going to work because the file name is too long or includes the characters that are... You get the point. Wait, duplicate. I can do that, and it even adds the copy at the end. Doesn't that like break macOS file name size limits or something? Yeah, it doesn't even let me type anything. This is the longest file name on macOS ever. So that's how macOS operates. But then we have Linux. This one was kind of tough to find illegal file names for because Linux allows you to do nearly anything. Only weird file names that I could find for this one are those very similar to what we just saw on macOS. Here I think also we should be able to create an invisible file name. Yes. And now it appears like this folder has no file name. It looks very nice actually. And then also, just like on macOS, we can use newline as a character in the file name. No, wait. Let's open up the terminal. Why can't I drag it out of the folder? But here we can also see the newline character also makes the file name blank. And then what about naming your file like this? We have named the file with this symbol that specifies all in a certain directory. And let's see what happens when I try to delete it. Yeah, the system now thinks that we want to delete everything in our home folder, but it deleted only the file. And then also there's this one. Just like that. And this one actually has a file name, except it's like a super weird character. If you liked what you saw today, then you can also check out this video right here, and I'll be waiting for you.